This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Hey everybody, how are you? David DeFranco here from daviddefranco.com/ask. That is your open forum for submitting questions for future videos, such as this one. Well, that was just one giant run-on sentence. So before I get into today's video, you might realize, yes, today's Monday, and you're probably freaking out. David, where is the weekend vloggity vlog? Don't worry, it's coming out tomorrow because I'm actually in Atlantic City with the mildly famous David Banther between Sunday and Monday. So that's kind of just how my schedule worked out. But you can avoid this freaking out by following me over at twitter.com/DavidDeFranco as well as facebook.com/DavidDeFranco. Yeah, that was a pretty good excuse just to plug my social media profiles. Do it, please. So today's question, in this very dramatic lighting, comes from Ivan Hernandez over at facebook.com/IvanHernandez50999. Ivan likes nines. But seriously, Ivan does have an awesome question. He says, "Hey David, I just wanted to ask you, how do you manage all of your time? From making YouTube videos to working with your clients and your dad and doing all this stuff that you do. Thanks for all of your hard work, Ivan." Ivan, this is an awesome question because it's no secret that I do a lot of things on a regular basis. From my video work, to my graphic design and web design work, to working outside of my house, sometimes days on end with my dad. I mean, I will admit, sometimes it's difficult to manage my time and it can actually become quite stressful. But over the years, I've come up with a pretty good system that works well for me, and maybe it'll work well for you. So let's get into details. So starting out, let's talk about my regular workload. What does my regular routine look like in terms of my content creation, website creation, all that stuff? Well, my average week looks like this. I upload 5 videos every single week. That's actually a lot of work. It's just very time consuming and sometimes mentally draining. I do graphic design and web design projects for clients. And finally, constantly answering emails. I usually have a rule with myself. I try to clear out my inbox every 24 hours. In other words, I don't like going to bed with emails just sitting in my inbox. Unless for whatever reason I have to wait until the next day to get work done that's contained in that, email. But usually I like to have my inbox cleaned out when I'm going to bed. Alright, so now let's talk about my daily routine. What do I do every single day, at least for the most part? Well, I wake up, I get my shower, get dressed, all that good stuff, and have my coffee. My days always start out with a cup of coffee. And honestly, I cannot imagine it any other way. I bring my coffee to my desk, and I check my inbox, handle anything of high priority. This means that emails I got overnight that require my immediate attention, emails that possibly contain sponsorship opportunities regarding product reviews and anything like that, and finally, your questions, your feedback, your comments, all that good stuff. And then once I'm done managing my emails in regards to the high priority emails, I try to record a video or two, depending on my schedule and how much time I have. And then eventually, I find myself eating a very late lunch. I emphasize very late because there are people out there who have lunch at 11 a.m., 12 p.m., 12:30 p.m., which is average. But for me, no, I usually have lunch between 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and sometimes as late as 4 o'clock. And actually, a great example of that is, according to my iPad mini, it is 1:55 p.m., so I don't see myself having lunch till maybe around 3. And then once my lunch is done, I continue working into the evening, which usually involves a cup of coffee and just working on my projects. And then once all that's done, by the early evening or maybe mid-evening between like 6 and 8 or as late as 9 o'clock, I usually tell myself, David, it's time to disconnect, go into your living room, sit on your couch, and just chill. Watch some Netflix. Watch Orange is the New Black. Dexter. I don't watch Dexter anymore unless I'm with my parents because they're currently catching up on it, but I finished it over a month ago. Or The Office. Or a movie on HBO Go. For instance, last night I just watched Life of Pi. Great movie. Either that or I try to unwind by playing video games. It's no secret, I'm a gamer, I love my gaming, so I try to unwind playing some indies on PS4 or some retail games on PS4, or more recently my Xbox One because I finally downloaded Halo Spartan Assault and Max the Curse of Brotherhood because, well, they were free. But you know what? You don't need details. Basically, movies and gaming are my 2 ways of relaxing after work. But of course, it does not stop there. By the time 11 p.m. comes, or midnight, or as late as 1 a.m., I say, David, okay, time to get back up, go into the office, and get some more work done. Because I love working late at night. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because it's quieter. I mean, it's usually pretty quiet in my house. But I just love the ambience of working between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. Because that's honestly when I get my best work done. My mind is clear, I have my Pandora music playing, or a podcast or two. And actually a perfect example of that is, just last night I was up until 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. working on my Patreon campaign, which will be launching later this week. And then finally, I usually go to bed around 4 a.m. on average, as long as I don't have to get up early the next day. Now the next section of this video, and the final section. What if I'm away from my office? What if I find myself working with my dad all day, especially in the summertime, because we do all the fire inspections at the schools, since the schools are obviously let out for the summer. For instance, this week I might be away from my office for 3 days in a row. And that's exactly where something like YouTube scheduling comes into play. Guys, let me make this so freaking clear. YouTube scheduling is a godsend. I cannot imagine my creative process, my creative workflow, whatever you want to call it, without the ability to schedule my YouTube uploads. I cannot tell you how awesome of a feature that is. For example, I'll be in Seaside Heights very soon for an entire week with my family. But me being me, I'm going to record 5 videos ahead of time and schedule them Monday through Friday using YouTube's scheduling feature. And that right there is a great example of why it's such a godsend. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but it quite literally is a godsend. Okay, maybe not literally because it has nothing to do with God sending me the feature, but you know what I mean. Okay, so theoretically, I'm still away from my office, but my inbox is quickly filling up. This is no secret. This is not rocket science. But I often find myself answering emails using my iPad mini or my iPhone. But if it's an email that requires a long response, such as details upon details or some careful thinking and planning, then yeah, I'll hold off until I get back in front of an actual desktop computer, because I just like that physical keyboard feeling. But for the most part, the average email that I receive can be replied using my iPad mini or my iPhone. Now again, all of this sounds very basic. Answering emails from your mobile device is nothing new. We've had it for years now. But still, I just really appreciate the fact that I don't have to be in my office to manage my work. And finally, screen sharing to my Mac Pro, my new Mac Pro or my old Mac Pro, is actually quite useful. Sometimes I find myself at my parents' house all weekend when they're away on a trip, because sometimes I have to watch the pets, manage chores, all that stuff. And while there are those moments where I need to visually access either of my Mac Pros from my MacBook Pro to get a file or to view a document, and that's just a really convenient feature, and it works pretty much flawlessly in OS X Mavericks. It has certainly come a long way because it's not been perfect in the past, but more recently I haven't had any real issues with it, at least in terms of this Mac Pro. I still have issues with Lion, but that's a whole other story. And finally, to wrap up this video, which is definitely a little longer than I wanted it to be, but this sort of thing is important to me and I don't mind sharing my advice. Obviously, it's what I do. It all comes down to priorities. Ask yourself, what needs to be handled first and what does not need to be handled first? There is nothing wrong with putting work off for a little bit, especially if you need a mental break. Because I will say, this stuff, it may seem easy, and it's actually easy, well, I mean, it's easy to me, because I love what I do. It's nothing hard. I've been doing this for years. But I will say, it is mentally draining, and sometimes I just need that break. Which is why, like I said earlier, I have to remind myself to get up, go into my living room, disconnect, and just enjoy Netflix, enjoy some gaming and stuff like that. Because the work will be in my inbox when I step into my office later that night. So all I'm trying to say is, priorities. Ask yourself what's important now and what's not important now. So Ivan, there you go. I really hope that answered your question. This is actually a really good question because I've been meaning to share my tips for a while now. And trust me, I'm no expert. I'm just an average person who loves technology, who is passionate about content creation. So if I can do it, you can do it too. It just simply takes time to fall into a routine and see what works and what doesn't work. So guys, that is the best advice I can give regarding my workflow and my work routine. But of course, if you have any more questions, comments, feedback, all that good stuff, always feel free to post it in the comments right below. Okay, so at this point in my YouTube Q&A videos, I usually advertise an audiobook, but now, really not gonna do that today. But I will encourage you to go check out Squarespace for a 14-day free trial. If you've been thinking about creating a website, now is the time to do so. Just use that link right below to get your 14-day free trial. No credit card is required, and I highly, highly recommend checking it out. It's just an awesome service. And I'm not just saying that because I'm affiliated, full disclaimer, but I genuinely do enjoy this service very much. So guys, I will let you go. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your patience. This video is definitely not as short as I was hoping it was going to be, but you know what? That's the real me. I love to talk. Your support is awesome, and I will see you in tomorrow's video, which is the weekend vloggity vlog. So I hope you enjoy it. Peace. Alright, so let's talk about today's sponsor, and that is Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform that allows you to design beautiful websites. It's perfect for bloggers, creatives, small businesses, and more. Squarespace has full support for galleries, Dropbox file synchronization, custom CSS override for those looking for more control, and so much more. Sign up now using the link below for your 14-day free trial. No credit card is required. And of course, thank you so much for supporting my channel, and enjoy.